Hello and welcome to the show. I am here today on Forza 6 doing a silly car build on the Mclaren 570S. You might be wondering why I have chosen this particular vehicle. After all, you can't make it too ridiculously crazy, especially after following the BMW Isetta, because it is, well, a supercar to begin with. First of all, I actually do quite like the look of the 570. Of the modern McLarens, like the MP4 and the 650, I've never particularly liked either of them, but I do quite like the 570. To drive, it is incredibly understeery. It is about one of the most understeery vehicles I've driven, and that is coming from somebody who will put up with a bit of understeer to have a car that doesn't have oversteer. So, yeah, it's a bit of a... I drove it for a couple of laps at Bathurst, and it was a little bit of a interesting experience, shall we say. The second reason, as you will probably have guessed from the title of this video, and you'll probably be wondering, is the engine swap that is available for this car. We can put a rotary engine, the quad rotor racing engine, into the McLaren, and of all of the cars that they've got various engine swaps on them, this is perhaps one of the most unexpected, I think. I mean, you know, the 6-litre V12, that is the one that you would expect to be putting into the McLaren. I was expecting this to be the only option. It's certainly a very, very good engine. It's the most powerful engine that can be swapped into cars with almost 1,200 horsepower. However, the quad rotor is an option. So naturally I'm going to go for this one. Normally I would go for the more powerful option. However, for this, I've got to have a go with a rotary powered McLaren for reasons of silliness. It is also a slightly lighter engine as well. How it's going to drive, I have no idea. The quad rotor is very excitable, I think, is perhaps the best word to describe it. It's very happy to try and deploy all of its power immediately. And of all of the cars that have gone with a quad rotor engine in the past in this series, all of them have tended to be, admittedly, have tended to be sort of more classic cars and so on. They've all tended to be quite oversteery, quite controllably oversteery, mind. So I don't know what on earth it's going to do with this McLaren. We're going to get some nice race tyres and hopefully 265s on the front, some decent size sort of tyre widths. So we might not have too much silly sidewaysness going on, but I just simply don't know. 325s on the back is pretty damn good going for the McLaren. We'll go through and stick all of these on. Now, the car is likely to have a relatively high PI. After all, it starts off in relatively low S-Class, actually, this one. But still, you know, that's much higher than a lot of the vehicles that we have built in the past. It's designed to be a supercar. It's designed to deal with a fair amount of power. So I am expecting the lap time to be pretty respectable. I'm curious how light we can get this car. I'm hoping perhaps with the race weight reduction, we might not actually weigh too much. We have got the roll cage. Oh, the roll cage adds bugger all anyway, so that's all right. Okay, weight reduction. Let's save us lots of weight on the vehicle. We will. That's not bad. That's not bad. That's 2,500 pounds on the McLaren, and then we shall go for removing the restrictors, which will give us almost 800 horsepower in this car. Yes, it's not quite the craziest of power outputs, but it is possibly the oddest of engine and car combinations. But there we go. It is midway through our class. Time to see how it will fare at a wet circuit. And the particular circuit in question is the Virginia International Raceway. The McLaren will have 5 laps around this Patriot alternate layout in an attempt to go as fast as possible. Now, our current leaders, the Toyota NASCAR and Bugatti Veyron, were both up into P class. I think their times of 107.0 and 107.2 are probably relatively safe from the McLaren. Where it's going to fit into the rest of the table, though, I'm not quite sure. Having slightly less power could be a benefit. I could make the most of that power. We might not have so much wheel spin, although the rotary is quite crazy. So, yeah, it could be, you know, and again, being a supercar could be quite nice to drive. We could see it challenge maybe the Hot Wheels Mustang or the Bentley Continental GT. We will, yeah, have to give it a go. It's still weird having that noise coming out of the back of McLaren, but there we go. Right. Let us fire the car into this circuit. We shall see what it can do. There's wheel spin off the line, but it isn't too bad at all. How good are the brakes? Brakes are solid. Brakes are solid indeed. Now the next big question is the understeer. How? Ooh. The understeer, and I guess to an extent the oversteer. Get around that corner. Oh, that's a little bit. That was a little bit too. Yeah, it's a little bit too vigorous on the throttle. I wanted to try and get the back end round a little bit, perhaps not quite that much, as you could imagine. Yeah, it's not hard to get this car as with all of the quad rotor builds I think I've done in this series, it is not hard to get it sliding when you want it to, and I've overdone it there. The understeer is still there though. That was me being silly on this kind of warm-up lap. Yeah, the understeer is still there. There is, of course, less grip. We're driving in the rain, but I have got race tyres on the car. It's one of these vehicles. We've had a few of them where you've just got to be patient. You've just got to wait and wait and wait to get onto the power when you come out of some of these corners. Out of here, we are actually very good on traction. In third gear, I can just boot it flat out of that final corner, and we've got no problems. Straight line speed, what are we looking like? We're pretty good under brakes. If we go about here under brakes, that's 170-something miles an hour. Oh, okay, that's a little ambitious. I think that said 177, although I'm not completely sure on that one. So if that is the case, that's not bad going. Yeah, certainly it's not going to challenge the likes of the Alfa Romeo 33, but for the other vehicles, that is a pretty respectable speed. Yes, it's down on power, but because it has got traction, it can make the most of that power, and we have no problem with the bumps. So it is getting up to a respectable speed. I think where we're going to lose time is we just simply don't have the corner grip through here. We just simply cannot carry the speed around these turns in the same way that, let's say, the Hot Wheels Mustang, for example, can do. And we've got a wheel on the grass and in a puddle out there. That is not a fun place to find your vehicle. Okay, this has not been a particularly great lap from me here. Let's get it around this final turn. I think probably third gear was... Yeah, I think that's probably a good idea, because then we can just go straight to full throttle out of that corner. I think if we're in second, we're just gonna spin the wheels all the way. So yeah, that works for me. Right, so a little earlier. Under brakes, it wasn't that much earlier, mind. No, I'm still... the initial thought of the fantastic brakes, I think I'm still over-expecting the car to be able to slow down there. Yeah, third gear is a really good gear out of some of these corners. Second, it does like to spin, and I mean, I can be an idiot and get the car sideways in third, but it does, on the most part, seem to be a really good gear for getting traction out of these corners, although I fear out of here, because this is such a slow corner, I probably want second. Can we get traction in second? Maybe third would be better through that slower section, because there is plenty of wheel spin going on from second up into fourth through there. Puddle is actually quite vicious on this car. Oh, I'm not stopping down here at all. Okay, right, we've had a couple of learning laps. We're going to go for it now. Yeah, second definitely doesn't work out of that. Oh yeah. Second doesn't work out of that final corner. We can confirm a 110.2 though, and that was on a relatively scruffy lap. So yeah, 175 as we get on the brakes down towards the first corner. There we go. Neatly done it into this opening section, but it is just the understeer. It doesn't turn. The front end is just so uncooperative with this vehicle as we now come through. These are the kind of corners that it's probably not going to like very much. These medium speed, very long corners, I'm just waiting and waiting and waiting. I can deploy the power because I have the grip and so on, but the front end is not getting turned in or whatsoever. There is no real margin of error for this car in... the braking zones are very, I mean, they're always important, but with this car, you've really got to make sure you've got it slowed down. Now, some cars you can get away with taking a slightly later apex and so on in corners if you've made a little mistake, but in this, you don't have that luxury because the front end just simply won't get turned, and you'll have to pretty much stop the damn thing. So that is, yeah, a bit... well, we're going to have to go for... Oh, we got into the 108s, though, that time around. Much better lap time-wise. Let's see if we can do an even better job. There were a couple of places where I think I could improve on the lap time. It doesn't feel massively quick. I think that's the thing with this car. Some of the other vehicles that I have driven feel a lot quicker through the turns. Even setting a slower lap time have felt a lot quicker. They felt a lot more lively through these corners, whereas the McLaren, unless you're doing stupid stuff and getting it really sideways, you've just got a mile of understeer. There's not like a nice happy middle bit. Oh bloody hell! Okay. Second gear is really just not to be used. But even third, we're getting a little bit of a slide. I gave it a fraction too much of the beans there, and that's killed any chance of going quicker. To be fair, a 108 is still a pretty damn good lap time around this circuit. It's just bloody instinct changing down gears when we get to this lower revs, but second is really not a good one to go for, especially if you treat it like the third gear here. Yeah, we made up a couple of tenths in that final sector, but we lost it in the tight twisty parts. 108.8 from the rotary powered McLaren. Yeah, a lot of understeer. Certainly in second gear you can get a lot of oversteer and you can slide it about all over the place, as you would imagine with a quad rotor car. However, I mean, third to an extent you can do it as well, but you have to be being a real moron for that. It's much happier when you keep it in third and above. Aside that, it is just tremendous levels of understeer that caused the car to probably lose its time. The straight line speed wasn't too bad, 175 miles an hour down towards turn 1, and we could get on the power immediately out of the final corner. And the rest of the turns, it wasn't too bad getting onto the power. You had to be a little bit careful, of course you will, with 800-ish horsepower on a wet circuit, but yeah, it's the lack of corner speed in some respects that perhaps cost this car a little bit. Its time will put it into 7th place. It will go a fraction down on the Lotus Type 49, the 10th down on the Alfa Romeo 33, so that barely controllable thing that had the stupendous acceleration. Yeah, that is quicker than this McLaren. However, it does beat the Aston Martin Vanquish, the BMW M6, the Porsche 550 Spider, Cadillac CTS-V. Pretty decent time from the car. It's, yeah, just the understeer lets it down. Now, though, it is time to find out just how quick it will go in a straight line. So that, of course, means heading to Le Mans. Now, the McLaren, while it is, you know, a modern supercar with good aerodynamics, it doesn't have the crazy 1,200 horsepower. That is kind of the downside of having it. The rotary power in this one. The noise is the big plus side. The downside is, yeah, we don't quite get the same crazy level of power out of the vehicle, so we're not going to be expecting, well, the 270 miles an hour, but it should still be relatively fast. 100 horsepower is not a bad amount of horsepower, and it should also be nice and controlled. Once you've kind of got it going, it should be nice and controlled. Might be a little leery getting it off the line. The bumps are unlikely to pose too much of a threat to this car. By the looks of it, we're going to be using about 5 gears down here. I'm okay with that. 221.4. If we get past 220, we'll probably be doing quite all right down here. Right, noisy rotary McLaren. Let us go and tackle the Le Mans straight. Let's see how bad the understeer is here in the dry. After all the corners that we have to go around, yeah, it's quite noticeable that it's an understeering car. It's better than, as you would expect, it's better than when the thing was standard with these nice race tyres and all the handling bits and pieces, but yeah, it really does get turned just about as well as a ferry. Come on, McLaren, we can get around these corners. We can make it onto the straight. Now, while, yes, the understeer is pretty awful, I don't think we're going to have any problems. Oh, dear God, that can't do, like, 90 miles an hour around there. I don't think we're going to have problems getting around the kink at the end of the straight here, because it's kind of that sort of perfect weight, really. It's heavy enough so that the bumps haven't caused issues at Virginia, unlikely for the bumps to cause issues down here, but it's actually quite light, or it's light enough to be, or not to have affected the acceleration too terribly. We're up to 215 miles an hour, and the corner isn't tight enough for the understeer. I don't think tight enough for the understeer to have all sorts of problems. We will learn very, very shortly, because I can see it coming up. Come on, 1 more mile an hour, McLaren, out of you. That's what I want. 220, there we go. We've got the 220. If we get 221, that'd be good, but we are going to run out of road here. We did get a big jump. I say got a big jump, the nose came up quite a long way into the air there, but nothing else, and it was very settled when it came crashing back down to land again. So that's not bad going from the car. 219 the other side, and that will be the McLaren brought down to a halt. Brakes are good. I am pretty impressed with these brakes. Yeah, it's interesting stroke. Kind of a little bit as I expected, certainly time-wise, sort of lap time-wise, and the straight line speed is understandable, I think, with the vehicle. But it's the understeer. I can kind of deal with it because, as I said, I am used to driving more understeer-prone vehicles. I hate having a car that the back end's moving around in. But if you dislike understeer completely, you probably won't get on with this car whatsoever, because, well, yes, you can do silly things to get it going sideways. It doesn't really want to. It wants to be understeering around the place. So, yeah, probably won't be to everyone's taste. But I have found a McLaren that I actually like the look of, which is always a plus point. And yeah, I mean, 220 miles an hour is not too bad. I say it's not too bad for straight line speed. I've just realised what it puts the car tied with. It will go into 34th place. It is relatively down the leaderboard. It is joint with a Subaru Brat. Yes, a Subaru Brat is as fast as a Mclaren 570S with a rotary engine down here. It goes a mile an hour quicker than the Mazda RX-3 that was using the same engine. I'd actually expect it to go a little bit faster, perhaps, than that. It beats the Plymouth Fury and the Caterham R500. However, it loses out to the Mercedes 280, the BMW X6M, the Alfa Romeo 75. The front-wheel drive Volvo 850R is quicker than the McLaren. But, yeah. There we go. That was the 570S. It's strange having a rotary option to put in the car, but yeah, as soon as I saw it, I knew I was going to have a go with building one of these. If you can deal with the understeer, I recommend you have a go with it, because rotary McLaren is an interesting thought. However, that is going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.